Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom. Still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove has eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation. I would have done it too, I'm not gonna lie. Eavesdropping, I mean, if they're loud, that's on them. That's how I see it. Cove looked relieved. A small smile played on his lips. Yeah, it's not hard to spy, at least a little. It was about me. You gonna stay with your mom again for a while? Ooh. Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened varied. Sometimes he'd go during winter break, but usually he went out during summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving, and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. Is it really eavesdropping if you just used your ears? That's true. That is 100% true. Obviously, his dad's a screamer, so it's just way too loud. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they're saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us here. Ooh, he waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. What did your mom say? She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You've heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell her about past memories or what happened when he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear someone and another actually meet. It was one thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them. Very soon, you're going to see Cove's mom in person. You're taken aback by the news, so you can only imagine how Cove felt. He looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features pained with dread. Before they'd barely stay in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're all going to be all together again, the three of us after all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out. Now I feel real bad for feeling this way. For it's so... His fist tightened and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. Hey. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. That is hard to deal with. This is the adult me who'd answer this. This is a second good one. I'm sorry, Cove. You know I'm here for you. Cove sniffled. You're afraid he might actually start crying, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled. See? I feel kind of better. Visiting like this wasn't a bad idea. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the days started. You had woken up eager for summer vacation, but now things seem so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude. As if all that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time? For? The sound of your name, he said quietly, pulled you to your thoughts. Cove gazed at you, concerned. Is it a pajama, though? Is this really his pajama? Because he was outside, right?
Are you okay?
So I'm doubting. Oh, I just noticed you can actually see the scar on his arm. That's a nice detail. But no, this isn't a pajama. He hung out here. Who, me? I'm more worried about you. You don't have to forget about yourself for me. I want you to listen to you too. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew he was genuine. He had come here, conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He really was a great friend. You know, I don't want to talk about this. He looked away. his lips thinning into a line, and rubbed at his arms. But I don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away? I got a flashlight and some cards. You in? You tilted your head, waiting patiently for his answer. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing at his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little bit better at the sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you're glad he was here. And not just tonight. You're glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you'd never want to undo. Who would have thought Cove would mean so much to you? You certainly hadn't in the beginning. If you had kept your distance, and so had he. Now, you considered him to be one of your closest friends. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about what his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's going to happen. Shoulder. Put a hand on his shoulder. Don't worry, son. I got you. You're able to reach out and place a hand on his shoulder. It wasn't much, but you hope the contact helped even a little. Cove blinked, startled, before his expression softened to something more natural. Conversation was stilted and broken, often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get to your usual candor. As a secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped for a day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways. And you knew Cole felt the same. You opened up your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your olive skin. That was the only reference of my skin tone thus far. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple times, clearing for the sleep from your eyes before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't even remember falling asleep. Kova crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together, trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but you couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wonder how late Cove stayed before heading home. He fell asleep on the roof. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed or get ready for the day, or stay snuggled up for a little longer. Until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair. You bolted upright and gasped in surprise. He never left! He was still there in the morning! Cove, you left the house, jumped out of bed. Jumped out of bed. Your feet hit the floor faster than the speed of light, though Cove remained asleep. He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. Luckily, it wasn't your leap, it was lucky your leap hadn't caused him to fall over. But he certainly couldn't stay like that. You know you had to wake him up before your parents or Elizabeth walks in your room. With that in mind, you also had to get him out there quietly. You tugged at his hair, grabbing a tuft of soft strands between your fingers. You gave it a small pull, having to repeat a couple times before his eyes flew open and woke with a start. Get the hell out of my room! You scrambled out of the way as he abruptly jumped to his feet before almost losing his balance back down. He covered just as quickly and faced you indignantly. What was that for? Shh! What? The situation dawned on him too before he even finished the word. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought His eyes growing in panic as some thought that he could hear settled his mind. Let me reread this. Sneaking out of his room, sneaking in our house, and having impromptu sleepover is crazy. Okay, so if I told you that that was a real life experience at some point in my life, would you be surprised? Cove blinked at you a couple times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind. Okay, there we go. I had to get the pacing on the wording right.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I fell asleep. What do you mean? You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Okay, what happened is that I was supposed to drop something off at a friend's house, but they happened to be having a party, and I ended up falling asleep there. The funny part is that I wasn't supposed to sleep there. I didn't ask my parents or anything. I over there partied for like maybe an hour or two, but I was just really tired. When I woke up, the party was still going. But I was honest to God asleep for a good like 4 or 5 hours. I was out. My parents, yeah, I don't think my parents even knew because it never became a issue again. Cove's hands flew into his face, letting out a sigh of relief when he found his glasses right where they were supposed to be. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. So how did they react when you came home? I don't think they noticed. Like, I, honest to God, was gone for like what should have been a like at most a 30 to like an hour minute trip. Oh, we got ads. Master at sneaking in and out for. Are you subscribed to me, Crystal? Is that how come you don't get any ads? I'm so sorry. I'm like stopping because I'm thinking that you're getting caught up or something. But yeah, no, I just think that like, okay, growing up I was a pretty by the book goody two shoes. Man, I don't know. Twitch isn't giving me ads. Maybe it's because of what nation you're from. Maybe no one from the Philippines paid for ads, so you're just going fine. But anyways, yeah, so like, I was a good kid growing up, right? So my parents didn't really question me all that much. I think I maybe spent two nights doing anything like remotely suspicious. One, I showed up at home at like 4 in the morning. They didn't question me on that, but it also never happened again, so it was just like a freaky one-off kind of thing. I haven't had any ads for like, I don't know, 2 months now. To be fair, I only got ads like 2 streams ago. So like 3 streams ago, it would have been impossible because I just didn't have ads. Just straight up. Anyways, Cave nodded, his shoulders tense as he fixed you with his firm stare in his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. Here, look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You're confused about how this has played out, but hope that it was true. Right, bye, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. Oh, he hugged me real quick. Thanks again. You're a good friend, For. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. Before you let go, but you were let go before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he climbed over your bed and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Mind you, he's doing this in broad freaking daylight, so anyone can see him. Cove fearlessly stepped out into the ledge. You wished him luck. Good luck. Be super careful. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other with increasing speed, until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as you could, trying to keep watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down on top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped to the ground. He threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. Gotta admit, you're pretty impressed about how doable he made